Okay, okay. It looks like it's working. Gonna wait for my ladies to join. Okay, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes for a couple people to join. I know some member of my teams are gonna be joining. Just like last time, one of my team members, definitely Gia, she is going to be in the chat live. So if you have any questions or as I share different prompts or reflections, share your thoughts, share your feedback. Let us know what your experience has been and what your insights are. I really do want this to be a discussion, a conversation, a place for us to all chat. And Gia will be there right away to engage with you. I will wait because it's difficult to watch two screens. There's a bit of a delay. I will, once I'm done my reading for tonight, I will hop over to the chat to see if there's any questions or anything for me to answer. And I promise to keep this nice and tight. Um, I know everybody's got full calendars, but I'm really looking forward to this time together. Yay! All right, Gia, I see you. Okay. Now, um, there was the last time we found out that there might have been some issues with the link that people were given. And you know what? I really believe everything happens as it should. And so if you're watching the replay of this recording, that is a-okay. If you were able to find this spot and be live with us tonight, that was a gift from us and for you. Obviously, there was a reason for us to connect. I also want to put a huge thank you out there to so many people. Our book was published, I believe, about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. And just looking later today, we've sold 43 books already. And so I am blown away, just so enthused about that. And I look forward to more people getting this book in their hands and for it to have the intended impact to really help people. Okay, so we've already read chapter one. I read the introduction in chapter one the last time we met live. Feel free to go and watch that after this time if you haven't seen it yet. My name is Kate Hansen, and I am a mom and wife first. I am also a founder of the company, Kate Hansen Co., and a coach, which I don't love that terminology. So this with a couple people. I prefer more like a lifestyle Sherpa or a lifestyle caddy, like a golf caddy. You know, that person who's like in your corner, they know what you want, they're helping you achieve those goals, helping your vision come to life. But just recently, I get to add to that title, author. And this has been a goal of mine for a number of years, and I'm just so grateful to be able to share this with you. The book that I am reading from is called You're Strong Enough for This, a real world guide to building resilience and becoming who you were meant to be. I also wanted to just say, I think I mentioned it in the first reading that my uncle, um, Uncle Pat Grixty, designed this cover for me. It's kind of weird with the background that I have. It's beautiful from the colors to the art that he chose, just all of the imagery, the how it all came together. I'm so grateful. And so proud that this is my first book. Like, pinch me. I can't believe it. All right, I am going to jump right in to chapter two. From chapter one, I could tell you it's difficult when there's so much I want to add and contribute. So after I read this, I'm going to just touch on a couple extra points that I want to get across when it comes to these different themes. Um, and as I said, Gia is going to be in the chat live. So if you have any questions, if you have any input, if you've had a chance to start reading this book, come and read along with me and bring your experience to the table. All right, we're just going to jump in. Here we go. Chapter 2, Strong Minds, Strong Lives. In January 2010, my firstborn daughter entered the world, and the magnitude of responsibility and change hit me immediately. As she arrived, there was a giant bright light angled towards my lower half, I guess so the doctors could see. All I remember is them holding her up in the air before laying her on my chest. She was surrounded by that same bright light. I literally saw her glowing. It was a spiritual experience that left me in absolute awe. Once she was in my arms, so tiny and fragile, I thought, oh my God, my life will never be the same. I'm responsible for this tiny human mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I have to show up better, more responsible, more mature, more intentional, and with higher standards. She deserves nothing less. In that moment, I became a warrior, a protector, a caretaker, a mother. Since then, I've noticed that the weight of the world often arrives unannounced. You blink and suddenly everything has changed. But real mental resilience isn't found in the absence of difficulty. It's revealed in how we respond. The quiet, deeply personal resolve to be aware of the thoughts we choose when life feels unmanageable. So I just want to say these are those times where you doubt yourself, where you think, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, or I don't know how I'm going to handle this situation. Those are the moments that I'm speaking to. Okay. And it is all in that quiet time with yourself where you are deciding who you are, what you're capable of. That is where your mental resilience comes in, and you can build that muscle, you can develop it. Okay. Reframing your thoughts. Take back the power. I truly feel for people who are deeply tied to their negative beliefs. I had somebody read this and say their feedback was that they thought it sounded insincere, like a sarcasm. Sarcasm. I do feel for people who default to negative beliefs. I do, because I believe that's unnecessary pressure and weight that they have to carry with themselves. That makes everything they do a little bit harder. Back to the book. That kind of weight around your ankles can make every step forward feel impossible. That's why I'm so passionate about supporting others in making a much needed perspective shift for their health, for their well being, and their growth. Even though those thoughts might not be positive or encouraging, they're often familiar, repeated, or emotionally charged. So we start to believe that they must be true. But here's the truth, they're not. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can begin to replace those thoughts with ones that are familiar, repeated, and bonus points, emotionally empowering. That's how you shift your beliefs, by choosing ones that actually serve you and support your overall wellness. Okay, so the point that I'm getting across here is that just because you were told, I'll use a really simple, basic example, just because you were told you're shy your whole life, people said it to you so often, you started to say it about yourself. I'm shy, I'm shy, I'm shy. You've been in situations where you feel like you have to play that role. And so then it becomes emotionally charged because you feel the discomfort in social settings because you're a shy person. And what does that mean for a shy person? And yet it's not necessarily true. It's just because it was repeated so often because you felt emotionally impacted by that belief. So you can shift it using the same tips. Okay, using the same techniques of repetition and emotionally charged. You just change the thought, the belief. Let's look at how this can actually, let's look at what this can actually look like in real life. One evening, Michael is pacing his bedroom, rubbing the sides of his face, knowing he's on the brink of falling apart. But his daughter is in the next room and he doesn't want her to worry. It's been another typical long day, and he's hit the wall. Deep down, he realizes this pace, this level of pressure and stress isn't sustainable. The long hours, the missed moments with his family, and the disconnection from his own body, it's all piling up. He's exhausted, overextended, and feeling completely lost in the shuffle of expectations. What Michael might not realize is that he's standing at a mental fork in the road. He has two options in front of him, one that's familiar and one that's empowering. Option one, the familiar path. He swallows his feelings, brushes the tears from his eyes, and tells himself this is just how life is right now. If he could just push through, maybe things will get better. He convinces himself that he needs to work harder, be more efficient, make fewer mistakes, and sacrifice even more to keep everything afloat. He silences the alarm bells ringing in his head and heart, splashes cold water on his face, and walks back into the living room with a strained smile. I know it's late, sweetheart. What do you want to eat? He asks, as if everything is fine. Option two, the reframe path. He pauses, he closes the door, sits on the edge of his bed, and takes a deep breath. Gently, he asks himself, what am I thinking right now that is making me feel this way? It's not an easy question, but it's a powerful one. And it immediately gives him a sense of agency. He realizes the spiral he's in is being fueled by thoughts like, I'm a bad dad for working so late. I'm failing at everything and it's impacting my daughter. I'll never catch up. But instead of staying stuck, he challenges them. He challenges those thoughts and beliefs. What if that's not the full truth? What would I tell a friend who is feeling this same way? What do I want to believe instead? He chooses to reframe. Working fewer hours and focusing more efficiently allows me to be fully present with the task in front of me. I know I'm making the right kind of progress. These feelings are a signal, not a stop sign. They're reminding me to ask, what if this could be easier? So I can figure out what to delay, delegate, or delete to lower my stress and increase my energy. My love for my family shows up in many ways, and I'm allowed to take care of myself too. Okay, those last three, those choosing to reframe his thoughts. Instead of beating himself up, he's choosing to think things that are more empowering, ones that are not filled with shame and guilt. And oh my goodness, how we put ourselves down. That night, Michael still heats up leftovers. He still answers a couple emails, but something is different. He's not buried in guilt or spiraling in overwhelm. He feels grounded, empowered. And that small shift gives him just enough clarity to show up differently the next day with a bit more energy, a clearer focus, and a softer inner dialogue. Staying present in the moment. Sometimes the spiral isn't just mental, it's physical. When anxiety strikes, it often drags us into the future, spinning stories of everything that could go wrong. One of my favorite tools to stop that spin is grounding, bringing yourself back into your body through your senses. Here's how to do it. One, feel a texture. Feel the texture. So feel the texture of something nearby, a blanket, a sleeve, the surface of your desk, whatever it is. Just use your sense of feeling. Name three things you can see in the room or around you. Notice one smell, one sound, or even the temperature around you. These small practices re-anchor you to the present moment. It's a bit like distracting a toddler from the ice cream cone that someone else is eating. You gently shift their focus to something else. The present, unlike your hypothetical disasters, is the space where you actually have the power. As someone who has struggled with anxiety attacks and depression and all kinds of these emotions that just dragged me down, this grounding practice, just getting back into this moment, getting back into my skin, helped me feel safe, helped me take care of myself and tell myself I'm okay. It sounds so simple that it can't make much difference, but if you've ever been in those moments of high overwhelm or angst, you will be amazed at getting into the moment, how much that can just stop that run, that spin where your mind just goes off into all the worst places. The power of self-compassion. Let's be honest. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, you'd probably get a lot of side eyes and suddenly a wide open social calendar. Self-compassion isn't indulgent, it's essential. You wouldn't expect a plant to thrive if you only fed it criticism and neglect. So why expect yourself to flourish under those conditions? Constant self-criticism isn't building strength. It's only making life harder than it needs to be. Try this. Write yourself a note the way you would to someone you love. Offer appreciation for your uniqueness. Speak gently to your fear. Let your expectations soften. That kind of self-kindness doesn't make you weak. It's what makes you resilient. You can be your own best friend. You can make your own life easier. If you choose to be kinder to yourself and you choose to acknowledge and build yourself up, acknowledge everything that you're capable of and all of your gifts and all of your wonder. No one else can do that like you can for yourself. Okay, a little tough love. Familiar doesn't mean healthy. Now, before you roll up your journal and call it a self-care win, let me offer a gentle challenge. Sometimes people try to prioritize their mental health, but when it feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable, they pull back. I often hear things like, it made me feel worse. I don't want to think about that. Or as they retreat into their familiar chaos, because at least they know how to survive there. I hear this kind of reasoning, or excuses, as I like to call them, all the time. It's like a blankie or a binky for adults. Comforting? Absolutely. But doesn't help you grow. Familiar isn't always healthy. Let me say that again. Familiar isn't always healthy. If you stay stuck in the known just because it feels safer than the unknown, you'll miss the opportunity to rise. Yes, slowing down and listening inward is important. But here's another truth. Sometimes we think so little of ourselves simply because we haven't taken intentional action to test our potential. If we aren't stretching our comfort zone, we're never going to realize what we're actually capable of. You have reserves you haven't even met yet. I know because I've met some of mine and I didn't even know they were there. Let me tell you about the first time I truly surprised myself. Back in high school, I had to give a presentation to my entire class on Princess Diana, a topic I'll clearly never forget. My dad was a fantastic public speaker, so naturally I assumed I inherited that skill. I didn't prepare. I figured I'd just get up there, and let my natural brilliance take over. Plot twist, it did not. The second I stood in front of the class, my mind went completely blank. I burst into tears and I ran out of the room, vowing to never speak publicly again for the rest of my life. I just have to add here, while the teacher yelled at me that me crying wasn't going to get me out of doing the assignment. Oh, man, I feel for that little girl. Spoiler alert, I broke that promise. That promise that I would never public speak again. Fast forward about 10 years. I was working on a major special project and had done all the research, analysis, and reporting myself. My boss called me into her office and said, Kate, you know this stuff inside and out. I'd like to invite you to join me at the executive meeting so that you can hear me share your findings and recommendations. This was a huge deal. 10 senior executives at the top of the company. I bought a new suit, new heels, and walked into head office with my head held high, proud and excited just to be included, just to be in the room. As we entered the boardroom and she introduced me to everyone, she leaned over and whispered, By the way, you're presenting. I thought I was going to be sick. But here's the difference between that moment and high school. I knew the material. I'd built the presentation deck, I'd written the speaking notes for her. My legs shook so badly, I had to grip the podium just to stay upright. I was shaking the podium because it wasn't that sturdy or big. The executives were so uncomfortable for me that they couldn't make eye contact. And that was okay with me, honestly. I was just trying to stay up. But I made it through. And when the final executive fist bumped me and said, Great job, I nearly jumped through the roof. I was a public speaker and I loved it. If my boss hadn't pushed me in that moment, I might have avoided public speaking for the rest of my life, never knowing it would eventually become one of the most meaningful and fulfilling parts of my work. That's the power of testing your limits, of choosing growth over comfort, and of discovering there's more strength in you than you've ever given yourself credit for. So, as I do at the end of every chapter, I added in some reflection prompts. I'm going to read these ones off. Feel free to just do this reflection for yourself. Take a couple minutes now or after this recording and just put these answers down. Jot down these reflections and put down your own answers to see what comes up for you. Okay, reflection prompts, unlearning what's holding you back. Number one, there's 4 of them. Number one, what's a reoccurring negative thought that you have about yourself? One that's lingered for years. It might show up as, I'm just the kind of person who, or I've always been, dot, 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 statement. Now let's flip it. Number 2, what would the opposite of that belief sound like? Before you resist it, remember, this is just an exercise. Try on this new belief like you're trying on a new jacket. Say it in your head or out loud or even to someone else and just notice how your body and mind respond. And if you're trying to understand what this means, like use the example even where I said, oh, I'm shy. Try saying out loud, try saying to other people, try saying to yourself in the mirror, I am so comfortable in social situations. I am so outgoing. Just say the opposite of what you've always said and just see how your body responds. If it makes you laugh, great. If it still feels true, or if that feels like the opposite is definitely not true, good. You just learned something new about yourself. But by playing around with these belief systems, you're going to get to the truth. You're going to make sure that you're actually aligned with what you are meant to be, with who you are meant to be. Okay. Number 3, what other autopilot thoughts about your self-image, your future, money, career, or relationships are you not questioning simply because you've become familiar or emotionally charged? So any thought that you have that is negative or limiting or small, question it. Try it in the opposite. Try reframing it. See how that feels. No one has to see you going through this, but once you know, you can't unknow it. And it might just change how you show up and the kinds of results that you get. 4, this is the last reflection prompt for chapter 2. How can you start a habit of consistently questioning those default beliefs that no longer, or maybe never did, align with who you are, who you're becoming, and the future you want to create? Write about these. Speak them out loud. Let them shift you. You are stronger than you think, especially in your mind. Okay, that was the end of chapter 2. I'm going to go over to see if there's anything in the chat. Definitely, definitely. If you are with us right now, let me know if there are any thoughts that you immediately thought of, like, oh, here's the one that I've always repeated to myself. I know when I started doing this work for myself, my own personal growth journey, a lot of my thoughts were about appearance, were about like what my appearance said about me, about my weight, about my intelligence, oh, I've never been good at math. I'm not a math person. Or about being shy or outgoing, about feeling confident, about having style, about like just how active you are, how healthy you are. For a long time, I would say about how I was so messed up, or there was always something wrong with my body, or like I was saying those things out loud, and I don't know what I was hoping to come from that. But once I started to question it and be very careful about what I speak out loud, those stopped. And just telling myself that my natural foundation is health, that I'm healthy and thriving, that I'm smart. And if I don't know something, I will learn or I'll figure it out. Like it just feels so much better if you're your own best friend. Oh, makes life so much easier. Alrighty, alrighty. I'm coming over. Just looking now. I don't see any comments in the chat right now. That is okay. What we So, but what I'm going to say is even afterwards, if you're watching the replay, if you're someone watching the replay, keep this conversation going. Add comments, share this YouTube clip with other people and get this conversation going. I would love to know what thoughts that you pivot, that you realize, hey, I guess I don't have to keep saying that to myself. I guess there was never any good that was coming from me putting myself down like that. Whether you were doing it for other people, whether it's just something you had been told for so long, but you always knew didn't feel right. This is empowering you. This is about empowering you. This is the work that I do with people all the time. It's sometimes easier to have someone outside of you realize or pull something from you that you don't even know because it's so automatic, because it's just something you've done for so long. But I'm hoping these reflections will have you question those beliefs. Okay. I thank you so much for being with me, for going through the live reading with me. As you read this book, if there are any parts of chapter 2 that really stand out to you, or if there's any part of these reflections that you implemented, that you actually did the work and wrote it out and questioned it and flipped it upside down, and it made you feel good, it empowered you, it gave you that boost of energy or confidence that you needed when you needed it. Please share that with me. That would mean so much. My team and I are here to help people realize their potential and to realize that what if it was easy? And what if you could have it all? What would that look like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? You deserve the best life. All right. And even though it doesn't always feel like it, and if you're going through one of those hard seasons where your self-image is being questioned and changed, and life is changing around you as you know it, please, please remember you are strong enough for this. You're going to discover strength you didn't know you had, and you're going to get through this. All right. That's all I have for you now. We do have in our social media a giveaway. If you go over to Instagram, I'm at XO Kate Hansen, and all of the ways to get involved in our giveaway are there. And I am giving out 3 signed copies of this book, have my first book, and we will be sending those out shortly. We are going to pick a winner each week. We already picked a winner for last week. We've got 2 more, so be sure to go and participate in that. I'd love for you to get your hands on this. And yeah, if you're somebody who's reading it and you have feedback or you want to share it with people, please tag us. Let us know what you think. Love to hear your thoughts and what your experiences have been. All right. Much love, everybody. Keep the faith. Take care. Oh, let me just toggle over one more time so I can say goodbye to sweet, sweet Gia. I hope it is on as well. I'm not sure if she's been joining us. All right. Good night, everybody.